Welcome to the last podcast for Topic I, for all topics actually. And in this topic we discuss the assessment and control of the performance of an investment or a profit center manager, primarily an investment manager. And we'll start with problem 5.1. Now, in problem 5.1, we have data that summarizes performance at a subsidiary. Given the cost of capital for the subsidiary is 10%, you're asked to evaluate the performance of the subsidiary. When you take a look over the 3 years, you'll see that the ROI has gone up from 20 to 24. The residual income has also gone up. The subsidiary net income is after payments to debt holders, and hence the calculation of return on net investment, which is the equivalent of return on equity, is on a return on equity basis. To calculate the net investment and residual income, then we see that the ROI is rising, the subsidiary is leveraging up, adding debt to its capital structure, and reducing the net investment. Therefore, improving ROI is the result of financing changes, not operating performance. So, I think that's an analysis that has to be done whenever you're considering using ROI to evaluate a subsidiary, because what you'd like to see, of course, is that not a manager that's fooling with the equity structure of their subsidiary, but instead a manager that's leveraging up on operating income. So let's go on to 5.5, which is performance technologies. Sylvia Zhang is the president of the Wilson division, and you're asked, first of all, assuming that Zhang is rewarded based on improving ROA, will she accept 2 projects? And you're given 2 separate projects that have no synergy, projects A and B. And when you take a look at the effect on her ROA of the division for which she's evaluated, you see that before the project she has an ROA of 12%. Now, that's above the cost of capital of 11. Now, project A produces an ROA of 14%, whereas project B has an ROA of 10%. So the result on Zhang's ROA of accepting project A would be to raise her existing ROA for the segment to 12.4, whereas if she accepts project B, the ROA for her division would fall. So even though the cost, the ROA is in fact more than the cost of capital. The residual income, once you look at residual income, however, you'll see that project A does not add to the residual income of her subsidiary. Project B does. So using residual income as an evaluation metric, you'll get a completely different decision from Zhang than you would if she was evaluated using ROA. Because in the case of project B, then the residual income of her subsidiary would rise to 1.3 million, whereas if she accepted project A, it would drop to 750,000. So it's very unlikely that under residual income she would accept Project A, but notice the acceptance would be automatic under ROA. Now, so if residual income is used to measure divisional performance, then A is rejected, B is accepted. Now, Zhang changes her decisions because ROA ignores the project's risk-adjusted cost of capital. The use of ROA as a performance measure only involves increasing the division's ROA. It does not consider whether the project's ROA is above or below the risk-adjusted cost of capital. So as illustrated in this problem, ROA can induce incorrect investment decisions, whereas residual income doesn't as much. In particular, ROA can lead to over or under investment decisions. Projects with a positive residual income have a positive NPV, whereas projects with a negative residual income have a negative NPV. While not perfect, the residual income is better than ROA as a performance measure because it does not produce these under or over incentive investment incentives. Now 14-6 deals with a coffee shop, a chain of coffee shops, and the shops are open some of the shops are open 24 hours a day, particularly those located around college campuses. Each shop manager is responsible for deciding the hours the store is open and the selection of baked goods in stock and the number of internet terminals to provide in the store. So what they would like you to do is to devise a balanced scorecard to help evaluate these coffee shop owners, and the 4 aspects of the balanced scorecard: financial, customer, internal, and learning growth, can be represented by using the following metrics: return on assets to cover the manager's investment in internet equipment. From the customer perspective, you can measure customer satisfaction using survey cards and asking for feedback on the store's appearance, the availability of the internet, and the friendliness of the service providers, etc. Internal business perspective. Now be careful, because when you're asking about how friendly the service providers are, you better make sure your service providers are friendly, because I had an experience in Home Depot yesterday where I went in, and the first sign I saw was the best cashiers in the world, and it was covered with balloons and things. And the cashier I went to check out didn't bother to. She kept putting me off because she was doing some administrative work on her till, not balancing the till, but simply ringing in discount coupons, which could have been done at any time. So I stood there for about 5 minutes and finally left and used the self-service. So if you're going to advertise how friendly your cashiers or service providers are, you better tell them because it can create quite an ironic scenario that makes customers more unhappy than if you hadn't asked them in the first place. Now, internal business perspective, the time the customers wait for service is of interest, and the learning and growth perspective, the employee turnover is usually a metric for that. So the balanced scorecard for this company would look something like that. Now contrast that to problem 14-7, which is a pottery shop. Now in this shop they make just gifts, pottery, wood carving, and other craft items, and the managers don't have responsibility for choosing the merchandise, setting the store hours, or pricing the product. So when we design a balanced scorecard for these managers, what we're looking for is a balanced scorecard that uses a customer perspective, again with customer satisfaction measured probably by survey cards, and taking a look at sales growth. The internal business perspective, you'd look at breakage and shrinkage of the product. And for learning and growth, you'd look at employee turnover. But where they are held responsible for inventory and pricing, the balanced scorecard will also have a return on assets or economic value added metric to create incentives to control excessive inventory and to reward managers for setting prices that maximize the firm value. So balanced scorecards change according to the nature of the business and are usually better because they used more evaluation metrics than using a single metric based on income or return on assets. And that's the end of the podcast for RSM 322. I hope you enjoyed them.